Welcome our panel. We are joined now by former Pennsylvania Congressman Charlie Dent and Niall Stanage, White House columnist for The Hill. Thank you both for being here. Now I'd like to start with you. So how important are these 4th of July campaign stops in your view?
I don't think, honestly, they're that important. What we're seeing here, Kelly, really, is these candidates kind of engaging in a form of political speed dating, going around the country looking for where there's a spark that might translate into something where they can get a foothold in these early states. But right now, I mean, you mentioned former President Trump, the clear frontrunner, way ahead of everyone else. And so he's, in a sense, already in the final of this nominating process. And these other people are trying to get an edge in the qualifying rounds to be the alternative to Mr. Trump. And I think that's what's going on here.
All right. Absolutely. And I hear that. So, Charlie, DeSantis is going all in on New Hampshire. Pence barnstorming Iowa. They're pulling way behind Trump. But does it help that he isn't campaigning there?
That he's not campaigning where? I'm sorry, Trump or DeSantis?
Oh, that Trump is not campaigning there.
Yeah, okay, because, well, Trump, look, Trump has 100% name ID. Everybody knows him. And they know about him. These other candidates are simply trying to get some oxygen here. So retail politics for candidates not named Trump is really important because they need to get known. Trump is a known entity. It's that simple. You know, it would probably be better if Trump actually did show up at a parade or two, but it's really not going to make a difference for him because he's already saturated the market. He's so far ahead in the polls. He's not having to play catch up. So I don't think it really matters that much, but it matters for all those other candidates because one of them needs to break through to take on Trump. Some of them are going to have to drop out sooner or later. But in the meantime, they have to do the shoe leather retail politics that Trump really can avoid at this point.
So, Niall, to Charlie's point, how does DeSantis stand out and break through this crowded field, do you think? What's the best strategy moving forward?
He's having great difficulty doing so in terms of becoming a real challenger to the former president. Now, Governor DeSantis' advantage is, on the other hand, he's clearly ahead of the rest of the chasing pack. He's polling around 20% in national polls. The former president's about 30 points ahead of him. But then after DeSantis, you don't have anyone in double figures. So Governor DeSantis' real appeal is he brings similar politics to Trump, but he can get things done. That's the argument he's been making throughout his candidacy. The problem is he's polling exactly where he was, more or less, when he began that candidacy. So there isn't really a sense that he is really capturing the imagination or firing up the blood of those Republican primary voters. That might change, but that hasn't been the case yet.
So, Charlie, looking forward, the first GOP debate is less than 2 months away, August 23rd. Trump already threatening to boycott it, and other candidates are giving mixed messages on the loyalty pledge to support the eventual nominee. Do you believe the debates and the RNC rules are losing prominence?
I do think they are losing prominence, and the loyalty pledge, I think, is absurd. I mean, I think it's crazy that the Republican National Committee would ask candidates not named Trump to sign a pledge agreeing to support him in the event Trump's the nominee, knowing that Trump has been indicted twice and may be indicted a few more times between now and the national convention. I mean, that's just I think it's just it's simply insane to require that loyalty pledge of these candidates. The debate stage, of course, again, Trump, he's in a commanding position. He's the leader of a movement. People know what he stands for. He doesn't need to expose himself to that. Should he debate? Yes. Will he debate? I don't think he sees the need to, and all he's going to do is give oxygen to some of his opponents. And he knows that he needs to keep all these opponents in the race as long as he can. That helps him. And so anything that could help one of them emerge would probably not be in Trump's interest, and a good debate performance could perhaps really accelerate one of those candidates into in a better position to challenge him directly.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.